You know, I'm
works.
gonna check.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
go to the
God.
website and hit
You
play
know
on
what?
Twitch stream.
Yes. This is gonna be like Twitch inside of Twitch here.
Twitch, and
Are
Twitch.
we
Yeah,
gonna? We're
hey,
gonna get infinite. We're gonna get the infinite thing, right?
I hope so. But every new additional Twitch is going to be 15 seconds delayed.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I gather that it is working.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we sound good.
Okay. Wonderful.
Great. Okay.
Tell us about
Hey,
the
I like this
website.
website. How do you like it? Yeah.
I really like it.
Okay.
It had
I
been
really just wanted to make the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles splash screen. That's all it
yes.
was.
Is this Turtles in Time? Is that what you got it from?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The only good Turtles game.
That might be true, actually. Did you play the NES Turtles?
I didn't.
Okay, it's pretty brutal.
I think I've witnessed them and I've never heard that they were fun.
It has a fantastic overworld music theme that my relationship to that song is I think I woke up in a haze one morning and I was just like humming it. And now Bunny knows it just because of that one moment, and so we'll just sing it even though she's like never actually experienced this song in real life.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to this later.
But so this website's dope. I love the aesthetic. I think the kind of like putting our faces in 256 bits, 256 colors eliminates the self-consciousness of having a hero image of my face on it on a website.
Isn't it great? I was actually thinking in the vein of maybe hiring an artist someday, I want to actually have someone redraw it in SNES style.
Oh yeah, so actually
Do that
pixelless.
do that classical thing. Yeah, I did. I found SNES image filter. That's what I ran this through actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, this sucker. And it lets you it was pretty nice.
yeah,
Lets you like choose how much to smash the colors together.
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. But I think ultimately the fidelity is too good. We want some kind of like uh, cartoon version of. I actually had a friend of mine who was a great artist back in the day, like do an anime rendering of me. I commissioned it, but that's I don't think that would be usable here. I want something more pixely. Yes.
I want like this style, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the aesthetic.
Is that Mugen Fighters? Oh, Art of Fighting. That's what
Art of Fighting.
Art of Fighting.
I remember this having really intense characters in it too.
What is
Yeah.
this?
That's some serious like SNES portraits.
That
Did you,
almost.
did you never run into this game? This game is weird.
I played Star Trek: The Next Generation on PC. I'm not sure if it's. This seems a
Might
little bit different,
might be the same game.
and it was rough.
Yeah.
It was really rough.
Is it this sucker?
Uh, it was It was actually more adventure gamey, and most of the interaction was adventure game style, like away team stuff. And oh yes, the parallax. That's so good.
I want to be drawn in this style. Possibly
Yeah.
in uniform, but definitely in that style.
Yeah. Or I just want to be Michael Dorn.
He's pretty cool.
He's.
Underappreciated character.
I think after a certain point they realized how funny he was, and they just kind of leaned into that the entire time. Right?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I saw at least one supercut of the show of every time he proposed an idea, like let's kill him, and like no one ever says yes to his ideas. And I think at some point they were like, okay, great, like we know what he's for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. He's always like they could be hostile, you know.
Right.
And I imagine in like the 6-month review when he sits down with Picard and like, so let's talk about what you've accomplished this year. And he's like, the piece of feedback I would give you is that you seem to immediately jump to the conclusion that we're in a violent conflict scenario. Perhaps you should try to assume best intent.
That's so funny.
Right.
I'm such a huge Star Trek fan, and I'm actually really enjoying the new animated show that they made.
Is it Lower Decks?
Yeah,
Named for that one Next Generation episode called.
Which is like one of the best ones.
It's fantastic. Yeah, that's a great episode.
This is not as good as that episode.
That episode is amazing because it has like. I guess the thing is they realized that Star Trek was a workplace. It was basically just like an office drama. Like they didn't even realize it until that episode.
Mhm.
And they have that amazing like scene where like back to back, like the junior officers are talking to each other about what their bosses think of them, and then it like flips around and it's like the bosses talking with the junior officers, and just like it is like the only like true to life thing that Star Trek has ever done, ironically, right? Like everything else is so like idealized and far fetched and just like escapist in the
right?
best way, right? Like this is the way that I wish my life was, and that was like a moment where it's like, okay, well, you can actually relate to these because they're just like working on it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to live in the future where our idea of entertainment is to like to reenact this like deeply Victorian like we go and perform live theater together for relaxation. Good gosh.
It was a bit more risque in the earlier seasons where it was pretty clear that like the holodeck was like a space brothel, you know, like
I love that in Deep Space Nine actually is like where they really double down. They're like, oh yeah, people fuck on the holodeck, and I was like we know.
right. Because didn't Quark run like that was his business, right?
And they were seedy holodecks, yeah.
Yes. And there's that classic fanfic of like the holodeck janitor. I don't know if you know of this fanfic, but
no.
Okay. It's like good enough to have transcended the fanfic forums that these things pop up in.
Oh, that's intense.
And I actually think I have to think the new show that you're talking about must borrow a lot from that fanfic because they talk about like cleaning up the holodeck, right?
There was totally a throwaway gag about cleaning the holodeck filters, and they bleeped out what it was like cleaning the holodeck like bleep filters, and I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it rewards people who sort of enjoy Star Trek and like can see that a lot of these things are quite silly, and to take them at like full seriousness all the time is a little ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I love Star Trek. At the same time, like I have to think that it's quite far fetched to me that I think CBS is like totally doubling down on Star Trek right now, right? Like that's how you're watching the show is like the CBS All Access thing, which has 1 billion Star Trek shows now, right?
There's 3 Star Trek shows this year. Like
aren't they planning?
I already watched Picard.
Okay.
Lower Decks is now, and as soon as Lower Decks and Discovery season 3 starts, this is like an embarrassment of Star Trek.
They have like the spin-off of Discovery as well, right?
Right, the 4th one, which was really like. Did you watch Discovery last season?
I watched the first few episodes of the 2nd season where they brought who's the captain? Pike, is it?
Pike, yeah.
And they realized they just had like a really charismatic actor, right?
He's really good at it, yeah.
Yeah. But then, like, for some reason, Discovery resists having a permanent captain, right? They want it to be about... I don't know what they want it to be about, to be honest.
Right, it's like about a lieutenant. I'm just like, well, there could still be a captain on the ship.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't watched it, it's actually... The 3rd season will be very different. I think they threw out the script Bible and started over.
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I've talked to multiple people about Discovery because I watched, I think, the full 1st season, and I think they wrote themselves into a corner like very early on, where there's just so many concepts about it, like even for Star Trek, that are just so like, come on, right? Like the dude who's a genetically modified, like basically Klingon with plastic surgery and looks just like a human.
God, wasn't that weird?
Yeah, and then there was the
mushroom hyperspace travel.
That was definitely one of those like, okay, we wrote about it in one episode, but you can't just like get rid of it because suddenly we've like it was like you know how after that the Last Jedi. People were like, oh, if you can just like hyperspace into a fleet of ships, why don't you just do that every time? And like the right way to approach that is like, shut up, I don't care, right? But I think the writing room for Discovery must be just like full of nerds who are like, wait, if we made it so that you could jump through the mushroom network of the universe, then why wouldn't you do that every time? And then everyone's like, yeah, let's do that every time. And so now they like invented like Black Alert and all this like these ridiculous concepts that like. All right, I feel like I feel like
I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, I was going to say...
I'm dignifying it by even describing it and complaining about it. It's
Well,
so
what I liked about season
ridiculous.
2 is that all that clearly happened, and then they were like, "Ah, fuck," and by the end, they've unwritten all of it,
Really?
like
Okay.
100% of it. They'll. I mean, do you want spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it. This is a game about spoilers, cynicism, leftism, and then fourthly, video games. Right. So let's hear the
It's
spoilers.
a pretty good stream.
Yes.
What was I say? They end season 2 ends with they have to send the mushroom drive to another time 1,000 years in the future, so a totalitarian AI can't use it to destroy the universe. And then everyone has to swear themselves to secrecy to never talk about mushroom drives again in the past because it's too dangerous. So they have a scene with like Spock and Pike being like, we swear this military secret to secrecy. No one will ever hear about the spore drive again. We're so sorry. So they
Didn't they,
uncannoned it.
is that not the first time they've played that card where like nobody no we shall never speak of this again kind of thing? I feel like there's another Star Trek show in particular that did that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe an episode. It might like it could be like an episode plot where like, oh, this was fucked up, but instead it's like, I know the ship has been like flying around for 4 years and is not a really big secret, but like everyone keeps the secret now.
Oh man. Yeah. See, that is like the definition of writing yourself into a corner is like
Yeah,
you cannot think of a cool way of getting rid of that, right? Like instead you're just like, it's too good and we need to not
yeah.
talk about it in the future.
Well, but so the way they got rid of it is they sent the entire cast 1,000 years in the future, and season 3 is just like they're in the year 3000.
Oh, but do they have the spore drive?
Yes,
Oh, so they still have. So it's still in the show.
still in the show. The entire ship is not in the show anymore. The entire show is just like outside of Star Trek.
Oh, okay, so I see what you're saying. They
I thought
basically
it was a pretty bold choice. They took the whole crew and they're like, goodbye. You can no longer be part of the Federation. Like, get the fuck out of here.
see that would have been fine. I see where it's going. That would have been fine if they just like spore drive themselves out of the Star Trek continuity, right? They're just like, oh, okay, the ship is gone now. We can't go back to it because
Basically,
we
yeah.
didn't have a peer-reviewed white paper about this. Like
See, that would have been cool, yeah. And I thought in season 1 they like went to another ship with a spore drive on and it was destroyed. And I was like, okay, this technology clearly bad idea. Like your sister ship got fucked up, but like then they just like they're like, we found a creature in that ship that can pilot it from. I'm like, come on, man, stop making up space magic.
yeah,
But no, I'm honestly like I'm with you, and I like that their solution to the whole problem was like, this clearly does not belong in the same time period as like Captain Kirk, so we'll just send them somewhere else.
right.
It was like kind of okay.
Yeah. Okay, so they're Voyager now, basically. They're like
They're Voyager,
in locations unknown. Yeah.
which was good for some parts of it.
Yeah. I just met somebody who claims that Voyager is their favorite Star Trek. Which is like a yeah. I feel it's a bit of an unpopular.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
Did they back that up with?
Um.
I mean, no nerd gating. Everyone can have a favorite.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. From like a social perspective, it was one of those conversations where I was kind of like wearing the smile a little bit. Like I was just kind of like, and not because of this person's taste in Star Trek. It was just clear that like my wavelength and their wavelength weren't exactly
like
the same. So at a certain point, you're at the party and you're just like, okay, who's gonna fill the gap here? And I just like crossed the chasm, and it was just kind of like the entire time,
I mean, I remember that experience, but it hasn't happened in a while.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. This is over Zoom, so I was just like meeting people across the company.
It's really hard over Zoom shit because you can't walk away.
Yeah. No shade on that person. It was just,
No, some people like voice. I've heard that opinion before.
Yeah.
But also, I don't agree.
Have you pulled master on our game recently?
Indeed, I have. I saw that you had some commits in here. Do you want to share what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know so things didn't blow up. I started to move some stuff
Cool.
into Well, I
Oh
made the
yeah.
entity an interface because we were basically like all our components and entities should just be interfaces. We'll figure out the renderer later. Um, and then I started to split up the game into a client and server sub objects.
Hmm.
Um, I could have just like ripped it in half directly without the ceremony of this intermediate step, but right now my
This is
tendency.
good though.
Okay.
I mean, this is sort of what I started us down last week, and I think it'll just make it really clear to tear it up once we finish.
Yeah. So
But I see things that are unterrible. So
so you've actually arrived at what I wanted to talk about, not necessarily for the duration of the entire stream, but just as a little aperitif of what's coming. So one of the like we've been kind of like celebrating our touchdowns and spiking the football, everything for like building prediction and that kind of thing last time. But I think pretty early on, I think one of the things that's going to be difficult to figure out is what types of things. What is our message? What are the semantics of our messages being sent from the client server?
yep.
And if there are certain things that are outcomes of other state changes or consequences of other state changes, do we synchronize those things that are outcomes? So it's a little bit like, what is the thing in React hooks where there are like derived properties or derived values that like they're not components, but they're
No, it's like use memo in React,
yes.
and I think there's another word for this. Browser. What are you doing?
Yeah, that one library that I couldn't figure out the name of had a concrete concept of this. Where
Was it Recoil.js? By
yes,
the
it was
way?
recoil.
Great.
Yes, recoil has a different name for this, but the idea is that rather than it's a component that depends on a property, it is a value that depends on a property, or yes, it's a little bit like use memo, and the idea there is that. Well, use memo is a little bit different. This, as I understand it, just caches the value. The thing I'm talking about has a notion of dependency management, so like it knows what properties are composed in it. Oh, it has that. Okay, got it.
That's
Yes.
what the final argument is to memo, and
Perfect.
callback. Every React hook has this like second property except for use state.
So what I'm getting at is,
Mhm.
should the server ever send to the client like the equivalent of memoized values, or should it only ever send what A and B are, right? And the reason why I ask that is our game state, which is the sort of like state machine variable, is dependent on other state that changes. So, for example, when the player dies, you are supposed to transition to the you died state, right? And so, do we send the you died state explicitly from server to client, or do we just send the fact that the player died and let the client simulate into the you died state? And we're gonna have versions of that problem like all over the place. Like I think that like as soon as you have any kind of order of operations between our systems, and as soon as systems depend on changes that happen in the same frame but earlier, because as a result of other systems processing, you are going to be thrust into this kind of like, okay, well, what does the client send back, or what does the server send back to the client in order for the client to kind of like derive an equivalent state to basically catch up to this what the server is proposing, or and not catch up per se, because the client is ahead technically, but it is behind because it doesn't have the authoritative past frame. And that's why I didn't proceed here. Because I wasn't sure whether the state should be something on both the client and server. Well, I guess it needs to be both on the client and server, but like I didn't know whether to copy it or to.
Yeah. Well, I have a thought on this, which is that game state. I think there is no you died in game state.
Okay.
Because there could be multiple players. So I think server game state and client game state are actually two different enums, because the state machine is totally different.
Right.
So maybe it does split up nicely. And I think, yeah, we have to run local simulation. I mean, maybe the server could push a state to the client that's like, here's your new client state. But I would trust local simulation to handle that too, because the server will also probably like stop receiving messages from that client at that point. So like, it's not like a cheating possibility, and the simulation should be okay.
Yeah.
So you're basically disconnected from the game when you die, or it's, you died and you're going to respawn here. So like update your state.
So one thing that is interesting to me though is like, one way of answering the question that I asked is like the bare minimum that we could send from server to client is basically the input from all the other clients if we had multiple clients, right?
That's what I've been wondering about. And I was maybe, and I think the question you're getting at is like, does our client handle other input events, or is all of that distilled into like the server state update?
Yeah. Is it like this player input that they want to move to the left, or is it that this other entity has gone from point A to point B, right? Like at what semantic level are we actually communicating these ideas?
Yeah. I definitely fall on the side of, well, I don't know. I was going to say
there's no right answer, by the way.
Yeah, no. That seems to be true for a lot of these cases.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that in fact, like it would be really nice to have it like the client only responds to input from the player, from one player.
Yeah.
But we also then, to do any prediction, we need to have a notion of like the current impulse from other players on like the entity they control. Otherwise, our prediction won't be right.
Right.
Like we couldn't predict the tank continuing to move left if we didn't know that the key was being held down at that moment. So we can't. We have to know something about that essentially, and maybe it's not a client event, but we have to either pass it through or derive some message out of that. Yeah.
There is a pretty I know what you mean. There's a pretty classic article on Gama Sutra, which is the International Game Developers Association's. So if you search for it's Gama Sutra,
I haven't heard that name read out before. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's from 20 years ago. The choice.
It's from a different. This website has always looked, I guess, from 20 years ago. Do you remember what it's called?
I think it's called Gama Sutra: Age of Empires. They talk about their multiplayer. Yes, 1,500 archers on 28 network.
Ooh, dude, I just signed up for Game Pass, by the way, and I noticed that Age of Empires is just in there, and I'm so excited.
It's funny. I was like, literally one of my like processing threads this morning was like, should I cancel Game Pass after being on it for 2 months?
So I signed up for the cheap one.
The like $1 a month, and then it's $5 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, but the $5 a month doesn't get you crosscode because that's the Xbox Game Pass, not the PC Game Pass.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, because what it is like some of the games are like they're PC games, and then some of them are Xbox Play Anywhere games that are Xbox games you play on a PC.
I thought I saw like Tomb Raider on one of the lists. I'm like, oh, that's like an awesome generational game. I should play that. Like one of the new Tomb Raiders. And
they're great. I love them.
And then I couldn't get it for PC, so I didn't know what was up with that. And it's probably the thing that you're talking about, right? I thought I saw crosscode on the list of PC games explicitly, though.
It is, but it's the list of Xbox games that work on PC when you have Xbox, the Xbox version of it. I felt so double crossed by them, and then I was like, well, okay, it's still $15 a month.
Well, the problem is that like the list of games I want to play right now are all neatly like what is outside of Game Pass. So it's like I can continue to just send them $5 a month to feel like I have the availability, but honestly, I don't really want to play Halo. I don't really want to play Gears of War.
Nope.
I don't want to play Sea of Thieves.
I think my plan is like when there's like a new Xbox game, I'll probably like turn it on for a month because it's a great price for like. Do you want to play a new game for $15 instead of $60?
So what am I like locked into? Do I get this good deal of mine, like $5 a month? And if I cancel and sign up again, do I like immediately have to pay $15 a month again, or is it?
No. Five is still you get everything that's not an Xbox game, which is weird. I know they've really Microsofted this thing. Like it's such a good deal, and they've still managed to like Microsoft all over it.
I thought Microsoft was cool again. Why are you doing this to me?
I mean, they are, but like they also aren't.
But I think about all the games that I haven't played yet. Like, I haven't played the Tomb Raider games that you were saying are great. I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't played Disco Elysium. I haven't played.
Oh, I really want to play Disco Elysium.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That could be a fun game to live stream.
Disco Elysium. The problem is there's a lot of reading, so
yeah,
it's kind of like a text adventure. But yeah, we would just like make the pro labor union commie.
Well, I was gonna say it's so decision heavy that you get to have one of those like what should we do conversations, and then like make silly choices on stream. I like it's like watching someone play a point and click, but yeah.
So there is a breed of video game live stream where like two people will like kind of almost like D&D style read each other the dialogue that's going on screen.
That's
and
hilarious.
they'll do voices. Because I was trying to look for a crosscode walkthrough one day, and all of crosscode content on the internet. There's a wiki which is okay, but then like pretty much all the crosscode content on the internet is basically like YouTube videos. So I was watching those, and the one that I was watching was like interlaced with like very earnest like recitations of the crosscode.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I was like, all right, YouTube. I love. I mean, what are we doing here on our stream? We're letting our freak flags fly here, and that's just other people's version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I was gonna say nothing is like whatever we're doing is equally as embarrassing as eagerly reading dialogue. So hell yeah.
So while we're on the subject of spoiling things, you've spoiled Star Trek. I'm going to spoil this article for you real quick.
Please.
The question they ask is they're simulating thousands of entities. I don't know what their granularity of synchronization is. Like we're synchronizing like 60 frames per second, which I'm not actually sure if is even feasible. But they're looking 15 FPS for simulation.
Minimum 15 FPS on. I mean, part of that's display too. There's a lot of things to display, but yeah, maybe it scales past that. Yeah, totally. And so they're like, okay, well, how do we actually synchronize this many entities when we only have a 28.8 kbaud modem? A very relevant question, right? And what they do is they synchronize player input only. That's the only thing that they send over the wire is player input. Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. What happens if you get it wrong?
I think they just make sure that their simulation is deterministic. And I think that's the real-time strategy. The strategy for RTSs is to just make sure that all simulations
it's deterministic, and they can replay frames with previous input.
Yeah.
And they just do that, and it works. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, our game could work that way too. Like, there's no reason why it can't. We're sending 100% of entity state over the wire right now. Right, we're just like cloning the entities and then moving them over, which is fine. But what they did is they just said like, this is the input, and what actually input constitutes, I'm not sure. Input might be something as low level as like the mouse is clicking on pixel 153, or it could be a little bit more abstracted, which is what we're doing right here, which is like player one wants to do this action. Where we're sending intentions rather than like raw input data, right?
It would be, I mean, even raw input data would be fine because we would actually get this like we will eventually have to send some mouse position to, well, or orientation, I guess, but like I would send mouse position, like just, all right, I'm kind of coming around to that actually. We don't have any random element yet, and if we don't add one, we can continue to do this. That's pretty cool. And
if things are random, you can still synchronize the random seed. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and I think yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so if I generate a random number on frame 10, I can make sure it's always the same one, even if I go back and replay it with different input. Like if the inputs change, it'll still be the same random number for different inputs.
Yeah.
Or sorry, it'll be the same random number for different inputs for everyone because everyone uses the same inputs.
Yeah. And you probably want a different random seed for things like particle effects that like are local to your machine. You just use it like a different family of random number. Now, the interesting thing about sending player input over the wire is that I guess there's still a cheating problem, but it's less. You can't just say like my guy can now move 10 times as fast as another like somebody else's thing.
I was gonna say I keep bringing up Fall Guys because I've just been really enjoying it, and it's fun. It was fun to have this show up while we were like thinking about net play too.
Nice, yeah.
But I think that's exactly what they're doing, which is
wait. I want to watch this ad. Tell me Grammarly.
Do you really want to watch this Grammarly ad? Hey, it's not a Trump ad, so
okay, yeah, okay, let's skip it. Why am I getting trumped? I don't get it.
Hard to explain, but like, you see, like, wait, I got to back that up because that was very fast. But like, this player over here just zooms forward.
Yeah,
and I think it's because it's exactly what you suggested, which is like, they're like, they only pass input between clients. And then you get to sort of see that some people have figured out how to like send 10 times the input. Let's see. I've seen flying as well, which is like I think people send jumps. Give me more cheaters. Nope. How did you even get to this video? Man, I hate YouTube. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it's very interesting to see that like people will replay input double fast or send like I went forward twice this turn. What are you going to do about it? And have to like reconcile that. So, but I think a better simulation probably would like check. Like every player should have a maximum amount that they can move every turn, rather than just blindly saying like, well, if you got 10 forwards, you go forward 10 times. Seems fairly silly.
I think it's probably like a relatively. They probably just didn't have time to solve this, but it seems like a pretty, in the scheme of things, a relatively trivial issue, right? Is to just say like, well, there's a very, very simple heuristic we can apply to the input that we receive from a particular client. Like you can't move forward more than once in a frame. That seems like.
Yeah, and I'm sure their problem is more difficult than that, and I bet once it's out in the world that you have to deal with deploying that fix in a challenging way. But yeah, it's we could solve that.
The interesting RTS problem is Fog of War, and that was the classic StarCraft hack, was map hacking, right? I don't know if you remember that term.
I do, yeah.
Where because you're simulating the whole game locally, ostensibly you could just expose what's going on in the whole game, right? Yeah.
Which, man, it'd be fun to add Fog of War to this game someday soon.
It would be. Yeah. I'm not worried about the cheaters right now. I think what I'm worried about is like climate change and getting the game like working.
I was gonna say I assume that's how you end up with cheaters, is like you just kind of say like, I don't really care if people cheated this game until you like are suddenly like a 10 million person multiplayer game and you're like, oh fuck, like
it's a good problem to have. The proverbial
it's like we didn't think people would actually do this and like whoops, oh well.
Yeah. You think that's how Jack Dorsey goes to sleep at night? He's like, I think having like a rabid, brainwashed audience is a nice problem to have. We never even thought it's just a result of our success.
I think Jack Dorsey sleeps at night with fasting, whatever those turtlenecks he buys are.
Oh yes, after a brief visit to the cryo chamber.
Yeah. Brief visit to the cryo chamber. Buy a meal for a single starving child in Africa, like he does, and then he sleeps like a baby.
What is that? What he does?
He like went on this like strange Africa tour of just like going to every payment processor there and being like, "Tell me about your money." It was just, and like he lived in a hut for a couple weeks to like cleanse. Jack Dorsey's a strange dude, man.
Let's talk about the game. How's it feel to you, by the way? Any blips or weirdness?
Perfect?
Okay, yeah. So the prediction works.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah. The prediction is real. It's so cool that just works great. And it works on itch too. It plays perfectly on itch in the browser, simulating all this stuff. So no surprise, but I'm still surprised.
Well, we have no latency. Well, we have fake latency, perfect ping. There's no packet loss. The prediction is perfect, and there's no possibility of disagreement between the client and server. So I think we're at a solid A+ right now.
I would say if it wasn't perfect, it'd be worrisome.
Yeah, this is like this is definitely a pass fail type thing, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I realized that we can only WebRTC between browsers,
Okay,
but like, what if our game runs in two browser windows?
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe okay. Maybe the different question is like, what if we remove the concept of server and is in fact just passing input messages back and forth attached to a frame? And then I just say like, I want to connect to here's our URL, the apps connect together and then start
Yeah,
and then synchronize.
you like would one peer still be like the so-called server, or
Maybe like, yeah, randomly one of them becomes the authoritative, like,
mm,
sender of the start message and the end message. But yeah, but if it's only passing input back and forth, we actually send the same messages from one to the other,
yeah,
tied to the frame, and then prediction continues to run as it runs, and we're deterministic.
yeah? I think we could figure out something peer to peer.
Hmm.
Really though, I think the architecture is pretty much identical. No, I mean it's not identical. It's just like, do you have the broker in the middle?
Right.
Because everybody ostensibly, like right now, the server is not doing any like massaging of the input, right? The
Hmm.
server's not saying like, oh, you can't move forward twice. It's just taking what the client applying the simulation. Presumably the client's doing the same thing on their end, and when we actually add a second player, then if we did like the client server model, the second client would just be sending their input to the server. The server would be forwarding that along to
Hmm.
the other client, right? With frame numbers attached.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. Third client means, yeah, someone becomes the distributor of messages. Still though, that's pretty cool, and I like that we can conceptually run this, yeah, in the browser. No infrastructure, no servers.
Yeah.
Server. I mean, this becomes like server becomes like coordinator or something.
Yeah. To bring it back around,
Yeah.
can I propose as a hypothesis
Hmm.
that what we're going to send over the wire are basically just input inputs,
Okay.
like, and but although like I think there may
Do you
be
want to
some,
distill them like this, basically?
basically yes.
Like,
um
not forward key is down right now on this frame, but actually like the player is moving forward on this frame.
I
Yeah.
think it's worth maybe abstracting away from the hardware, like at least just like one hop where we're not in screen coordinates but in world coordinates, or whatever.
Hmm.
But other than that, like, we should. I think the heuristic that I will propose as a straw man is that we should have a very high bar of what we consider to be a valid message to be sent,
Mm.
from between client and server. Now we don't have a notion of that right now, like between server and client, or from server to client. Right now we're sending the world basically. Um, but you know what? I don't really know. Let's maybe let's. I'm trying to like hem us into these rules without actually like writing, which is I think a bad habit of mine. But
Yeah. Well, let's see how this feels. So,
okay.
I think let me try to interpret your suggestion. So you're saying that in fact our sync server state system right now, we process server messages which contain the entire state. We resolve them one on top of another, um, and then play input that we've got locally forward on top of that.
Yeah.
And you're suggesting actually that what we do is,
Just send the
we
client messages that we accumulate all the client messages from all the clients,
Mhm.
say that this is authoritatively the client message for that frame.
Mhm.
The clients still continue to have like state snapshots at
Mhm.
from the
Right.
last time that they got that message from the client, and then the server just sends that batch of input messages to everybody, and then the clients just process those.
Now, does that turn our server message into something like this?
Uh,
Like just
yes,
an array of client messages, essentially.
yes.
Now, how? Um, so our client messages has this. How do we synchronize? Like, I'm player one, you're player two. Which action moves which entity?
I think the client messages need to be augmented with a client ID.
Hmm. Well, and we have to sync the IDs somehow. Like I need to know that you're player 2 and like, well,
No, I know what you're saying. Like you
yeah.
need to associate these messages to entities, right? We could. Yeah, I think there's a related problem with entity creation and making sure the GUIDs come out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe GUIDs is the wrong thing. If the simulation is deterministic, then entity creation should be deterministic and should occur the same way.
Yep.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. So maybe instead of GUIDs, we actually should use just like increasing integer ID.
yeah.
Like if we can always index into the same, if we can share indexes into the same entities every time, that'd be pretty great.
Either we
Does
use.
it?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it works on setup, but then like if two players create a wall in the same frame, we have like a mismatch, which is okay.
So I think the problem that you just mentioned means that we're going to have to get away from increasing integers like at some point. And I wonder if like some kind of like content addressable hashing is more appropriate where you somehow combine the frame that you're created on and then like somehow you know your own genealogy. You know that you got created as a result of like the player firing something. And so you take like,
right, like you're like it's like F frame 100 player 2 or something.
your parent entity, the object that you are, and then maybe the verb that the player was trying to do in order to create that. And that's your ID or some hash of that, right? And
Yeah.
we're still going to run into issues when we reconcile and we realize, oh shit, you didn't actually create that entity at all. Or like maybe it's actually the result of something totally different. So I don't know how to do that yet, but
yeah, maybe that's the question I have. Maybe is that when, and this is definitely edge case stuff, but I feel like at least we'll sort of ask the right question. Like if both players send their builder to put a wall in the same spot and they land there on the same frame, how do we say which one of those is real? And I guess it's that the server reconciles input in some order, and then our prediction plays it back in the order that the server received. Plays it back with like the message that like one of the players created it correctly, and that just works. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, and I think there's also a way to. We haven't run into a counterexample yet, so as far as I know right now, we could just be super deterministic even about the order in which we process messages, so that like arbitrarily the hash of your IP address becomes like, and we sort those in alphabetical order or numeric order or whatever, and that's the order in which we process inputs. And tough luck, like if you get processed last or whatever, right? Yeah, either the server decides the order and sends that arbitrarily to the clients, or everyone follows the same set of rules, right?
I was gonna say we could probably like we could try to create a fair ordering if we actually cared of like number of players, mod, frame count to choose which one goes first or something. We choose like a fair random ordering of some variety, but like. Meh.
Yeah, frame by frame, you do a shuffle. That might be a reasonable way of doing it, because it's actually not entirely clear to me whether it's more advantageous to have gone first or gone last. It's like it's kind of, who knows?
Yeah, and I want to not privilege like the server to get better, or I don't want to privilege player 1 to get better inputs. But I'm not sure we would which way. Okay.
You know what would be fun to do? I'm not saying that we should do it today, but like it would be fun to actually fake a second client where there's a second tank and all it does is move back and forth at a predictable rate. Right?
Yeah, I think that was that was an early suggestion for like, yeah, the next thing to add too is just to like we've got this, let's put more inputs in here. Let's see another entity moving around so that we know that like it's working.
Yeah.
I think we should get wall collision back in at some point too.
Okay.
Which if we're only sending player inputs, we really don't simulate much on the server, do we? We just know you can't walk through a wall. Interesting.
Well, we simulate everything on the server, right? We'll simulate shots. We'll simulate all those things.
Wait, if we're synchronizing player input between systems?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if we're just, yeah, you're right, actually. If the server is merely a broker for inputs, then the server doesn't need to simulate much, except if the server needs to record any state, right?
I guess, yeah. Does the server should, to know that the server needs to know that a player died, and to know that it actually needs to know where the players are. So it runs the simulation too, I guess. That's fine.
I think you raise a very interesting philosophical point, right? If the server is like a dumb router, as we proposed, then the only thing that the server needs to mediate is stuff that is about the relationship between the clients. So like matchmaking, the lobby, all that stuff. But presumably everything else should be deterministic if all the clients have the same software. So yeah, that actually is interesting because like not all games, I think very few games necessarily work that way, right? So I wonder maybe that's the thing that I didn't read in the Age of Empires article is like, what is the server actually doing, right? Besides, yeah.
Was that in here or?
I don't actually know. It might have been.
This is so interesting.
Were you an Age of Empires player? I never played it actually.
I did, yeah. It was a very fun little like historical RTS. I think the fun mechanic was like this sort of like progression through the ages.
Where so it's like Civilization, but with like StarCraft.
But StarCraft.
Like combat mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, yeah, you start in the Stone Age and you have to get to like the Bronze Age or something, and you get better units, and it's a kind of a push and pull of like investing in that and trying to get like beat the other players there so you have an advantage, but also like you've probably underinvested elsewhere.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, how fascinating. Yeah, they might actually not run server. Oh, there's 4 pages of this. Okay, well, I look forward to reading that. That sounds
sure
very, very interesting.
So
I like that pattern.
It's not bad, right? So what is the progress we'd like to make right now, though? Like, do we want to continue to tease apart the game into client and server?
Sure.
Do we want to? Well, I think we should do that actually. You know, like but like the other direction that we could go is start simulating more stuff and maybe get into a feature where you could where misprediction is possible.
Yeah. Well, maybe my big question is how confident are we about sending client messages back and forth versus game state? And does that feel necessary? I feel like actually like that is maybe a tiny change on top of.
It's a pretty small change. It's small in terms of code and big in terms of impact, because we don't have a real solution for server to client. We don't have a protocol there. Right now, we're just like copying the whole state over. And that's only feasible because we're in the same process right now. But this is definitely a scalable thing to do, right? Just sending the client messages.
Yeah, I kind of like it. And I guess if we wanted to think about reverting back to a protocol where the server sends us a different message, it really wouldn't be a terrible change. If we decided this is maybe unworkable in a couple of sessions or something.
Yeah. I think the way that it becomes non-workable is that we don't have deterministic lockstep simulation. And that could happen for any number of reasons. It could happen because the server only maybe updates at a slower, only sends data at a slower frequency. It could also happen if we do the time dilation thing that I mentioned last week, where like because of problems of dropping dropping packets between server and client, the server will sometimes ask the client to update at a higher refresh rate, so that it essentially floods the network and basically reduces the probability that you will lose packets in aggregate, right? Like,
Yep.
Assuming that like the probability of a lost packet from client to server is like an independent variable, which I don't think it is, right? Like I think if you have at any rate, the idea is like more is more, and that like, but the end result of that, especially because you have like floating point math with with basically like a finite precision, is that you are going to get to some amount of non-deterministic behavior between the server and client, and in that case, you kind of need the server to say like, every once in a while, here's what the world looks like. You might have drifted away from this, but please make it look like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that sense, I feel maybe somewhat unmotivated to make this change right now.
Okay.
And I think the question of can we add another tank and see it moving around, and what does that turn into, maybe might help unravel like whether or not we should do that for us.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have a second set of inputs coming in. Okay. Yeah. Great. So let's see if it's interesting because like the entity is also a player. We're going to make a second player. Okay, wait, let's take this to the map editor actually.
Yep. And the player input system never runs. Yeah, I guess each respective client runs its own player input system, but the tank mover that runs is run for all players, something like that.
The tank mover that runs is run for all. Yeah. Yeah, this is good actually, because I think we're going to have to think about
a lot of things.
There's
stuff that's independent of multiplayer too. Like, how do we, like, maybe it should be, we have to like have a concept of spawn points rather than the players here.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I guess right now spawn points are, come on, no. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not right.
What happened?
I don't know. I see a ... in my line here.
Is that just VS Code garbage?
Yeah, possibly. Is it that this line is actually too long for it to render?
No.
Well, okay. Let's I'll just put the player somewhere. I mean, whatever. I'll put it next to the current player. We'll have two players. We need to actually make one of them move and one of them not move.
Okay.
And that is step one. All right, wait. Maybe I've got a second server running. Was it just starting on a different port? Gosh, you're too forgiving, Parcel. I didn't even notice.
Do you realize it just now occurred to me that you can have multiple terminal windows open in VS Code? I saw the little drop down. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, you can have whatever you want.
Oh geez.
But yeah, I do keep a couple shells open sometimes. Yeah. Okay, so first question: why the fuck did this work? Whoops.
Why does it work? Why isn't it not moving both of the tanks?
Yeah, I thought that was the current state of our player system, but in fact, it's probably because our tank mover grabs entity manager get player, doesn't find. Okay. So there's problem one, which is that like, what if I'm player two? Is that
so the player input system needs to have a tag that says what player you are.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that the game needs to have some notion of of how many players there are currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the spawn point idea better, especially because in in our collision test, we're actually like, all we get for the player is a position.
Yeah, I think player is still okay from the map editor perspective. Like it just means that there's a spawn point there. I think though we need to figure out
Okay.
we like, and this is something the server has to decide, right? Like who
Right.
who actually receives control over which tank. And by fiat, I think maybe we could just like deterministically figure that out right now, just like like in a like a very rigid sense. Do we want to create a second client update loop with no render? Is that something that we wanted to do?
It's not a
Oh, so we need to actually separate the client from the server, like, because we would need to be able to instantiate a second client, right?
wait, can we? Oh, game client update. Yep. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Is the determination that this is all just shared state, like it's the map you're on? We basically just need to know this for both sets, both sides. Okay.
I think every simulation, whether it's client A, client B, or the server, they can all have that.
Okay, cool. Let's maybe just start piecing this out. I was about to name an entity or name an interface game state. Shared or global.
Common, shared.
Common. Yeah. Okay, good. It hates it. Okay, great. Yeah, you got pretty far in Pion's part, actually. This is great. Ugh. Okay. Let's see. This is the client constructor. And I think the client is actually what gets debug draw. Yep, you already did that. Cool. Let's see. I'm going to try to do a very silly. Nope. Bummer.
If we run multiple clients locally, we also have to figure out how, like, who gets the keyboard and mouse and who gets simulated stuff. So maybe the keyboard and mouse need to become like interfaces rather than.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, they get passed into the client itself.
Yep. One of the things that's cumbersome about this, because we're doing it one system at a time, which is I think this absolutely the right way to do it, is that a lot of this stuff might just go away as a result of our rethinking of this. For example, I think like this .player input state, that concept is probably not going to survive the multiplayer transition.
Really?
I think it's not going to survive in its current form. You need to communicate from the player input system that like their builder mode is in some, like there is some sort of meta input mode. I don't know if that will be the same. Let's
lose it for now anyway, because it's at least currently not used, so that's something.
The one thing I would warn you about, which I think it's fine that we commented out, is that it makes it harder to refactor when the type checker is not looking at it all the time. So
winner, yeah. No, you got me there. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Can never argue with the type checker, in fact.
Yeah.
It's a losing proposition. Okay. This actually feels like it's going to go well, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for already starting down this path.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I basically quit when it got hard, or when it theoretically ran out of time.
Thanks for saving the hard part for me.
Yeah. The hard parts aren't hard when you have someone to bounce ideas off of, because I think
it's really true.
Both that two minds are better than one, and then also I think having another player or having another person helping you out is like, it'll get you past the sort of like, I don't know if you suffer from this, but I definitely have like analysis paralysis. I'll basically just like spin on the same problem over and over.
Yeah, it's a pretty common feeling, especially, or just like, it's like if I'm working on some software by myself and I get to a problem, I'm like, I don't have a clear answer for this. It's not even an analysis process. I'm just like, I don't really have like the energy to push through even finding the solution.
Yeah, right.
This is complex, and I think I'm gonna go like play a game, take a walk. It's hard. It's hard to get the energy to defeat a problem sometimes on your own.
Yeah, I think it's especially tricky when you feel fairly certain that path A is going to be a lot of work, and then path B is also going to be a lot of work, and you're like, God, I don't want to mispredict. I don't want to yeah.
No, definitely. God, I can't. I know that some engineers like write CPUs and like predict the future all the time, but like, God damn, this is high stakes enough in a game. I would want to do it for like serious things. Let's see. I think everything has a start play.
I agree.
But it actually, this function gets cut in half. Okay. Interesting. Let's do the client version first. There's no server entity manager. There are client emitters. There is a client camera. And actually, none of the entity population happens on the client currently.
Yep.
It's really nice that everything is actually nested in objects now, because this gets really easy, dude. Okay.
It's nice that those are mutually exclusive sets of behavior, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is great actually. Let's see. Everyone gets a set state.
The relationship between the client and the server classes is a fascinating one, because they are absolutely not the same thing, and yet they exhibit the similar behaviors.
They do a lot of similar things. Yeah. Oh well, I'll just cut client update because that's easy.
Yeah.
And I guess this is really just update.
Update. Yeah.
Let's see. Nothing is a client. Oh, and this, okay, here's an interesting one, where our systems expect a game object. So maybe we need to define a common interface between the two, so this breaks less, but that's
okay. What does it need? What does the player
That's the question, yeah.
I think it just needs like a mouse and keyboard. So maybe we should send that directly.
Well, and then sync server state, like it's just that all our updates have sort of.
Oh, I see.
But in fact, this is entirely the client object. So sync server state is a client system that takes a client. Tank mover is a shared system that takes. Let's see.
We did this for the tank mover, right? The tank mover takes a sim state, and this is, I think, the direction that we want to go.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So then player input, I think, just takes a different interface as well. Yep.
Yeah.
And really, this is a client system, isn't it? This is totally a client system.
Yeah, it's client only.
Okay.
So you can pass the client there if you want. Sure.
Yep. And I'm gonna nest it in the client system as well. Yeah. Okay. This makes sense. That's not the one I wanted to do. I know everything. You just said the thing about commenting stuff out, but I want this file to stop being angry at me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This wasn't so difficult to write that we can't.
No, and the nice thing is also this is self-contained failure.
Yeah.
I don't think none of this is exported, so you won't actually be. Let's see. Get some client.
You could do a rename symbol there. That'll help you out.
Dang, man, I'm so bad at that. You're totally right. Send client message.
That used to be it's client.send client message.
Yeah, I don't think I've implemented this yet.
But
this is really interesting. This is what has to know that there's a server. So actually, this is great. Our clients get instantiated with a server, and in our simulation, they're just going to drop stuff onto its message buffer. Great. That seems super reasonable. Yeah, I don't want to delete that. The hell is Crosshair doing over here? Did I rename a symbol? I'm very confused. Cursor mode changed. Oh, it did. I moved it into system. Sorry. I see what happened.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So let's see. Sync server state. Also takes a client. Great.
And it's fine if it's still called G. Whatever. Well,
yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Once it's cleaned up, I will rename symbol.
Yep.
I'm learning. It's in there. All right, that is worth it. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have saved. The game is broken. Whoopsie.
It's fine.
All right. We'll send it to itch, and if it plays, we're good. Man, I am such a big fan of being able to distribute this. Holy shit, server update. Okay. Really? Is it everything? Oh no, render. Okay. Whew.
Yeah. Woo.
Which is great. Render is on the client. Piece of cake. Great. Transforming it's going to get different things, and then server. Sure. I'll just put that back. Okay, so this is interesting. That's gonna miss, and that's gonna miss. These press button to continue.
Yeah, I would just say delete them. Like we don't. Yeah, or we don't know what to do with. We don't know what to do with these yet, right?
Yeah,
maybe there's
I'm okay.
They become to dos. Yeah.
Yeah, let's actually. I'm just gonna. We have no more check on this at all. And these are both to do, need to sync, need mechanism to sync state with client. That's actually very interesting. Like our client messages, really, we could always just choose to put another type of message in here that's like the game client or something.
Oh yeah.
I assume there's gonna be something like client ID is, player one, and maybe occasionally it's server or something. So
yeah.
And then in Q, okay.
Those are gone.
So, well, I mean,
or just line 210. The 310 is gone. Or no, you need to actually know who the clients are.
You need to know what your clients are. Yeah, I was gonna say this is the other half of the client. So I think when we register the client with the server, I want the client to like call the server and say like I'm here, and the server will keep an array of client callbacks.
Yes. So
we're gonna fake an RPC call with a.
The server has an array of clients the client has a
server.
nullable pointer to the server.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Now let's see, transform init.
Probably just needs the entity manager, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if we can be explicit about these for a second.
I think the client's going to need to run this. Does the client not run transform init?
The client does not run transform init.
Oh, because the client copies entity state over 100%. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I want to do this instead of stem state until we know something is shared, because I think we'll at least have a nice, it'll be easy to see.
Would it be all right if we rename that variable to S rather than C?
Did I just name it C? Good God. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, brain fart. Okay, what's left in the game? Render, which all goes to the client. Yep.
And I think all of these, including send client message as well.
I guess I want to come back to the messaging stuff, because that's,
yeah,
I guess all the new code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's satisfying.
It really is. And then the crosshair system takes the client. Oh my gosh. I fixed this on my work computer and I forgot how.
Oh, to not go through the intermediate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's delightful. Oh my gosh. Crosshair.
The whole configuring TypeScript thing I need to get good at for professional reasons, and yet it's actually like the scariest thing for me.
How so?
I don't know where to begin. Like, it all just seems like this morass of interconnected things, and I'm starting in the middle, and I don't really know I don't really know from down.
Yeah, that's fair. TypeScript is, especially in terms of, yeah, like customizing your own configuration, it's a lot.
Yeah. Do you know how to get the type checker to run on every file in VS Code? Because it doesn't right now.
No, because yeah, it'll like lose a file if you haven't like opened a file that references it. Nothing is run, right?
And like, yet, if I run like yarn type check in a terminal, it runs 10 seconds or so, but it'll tell me what's wrong in every file.
Yeah, but like it's not. Nothing here has touched, I don't know, like a model or like model's tank or something, right? Like, and it wouldn't know to type like that from like, it's like pulling in this import and then it gives up. I think it does like shallow type checking somehow, or as shallow as it can be.
Yeah, and I think it's the language server that's doing that, right? So I wonder if there's a setting that will allow you to just say like, look, just go all the way, or like follow at least n more references. Yeah.
Right. Or just like, yeah, like every, just run it every 10 seconds after, when there's input, like run it, update it when you're done, let me know, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay if it's late, I think. Probably my answer would change if that lags like 30 seconds.
Yeah, but I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Gone.
Send client message needs to be reproduced somehow.
True.
And we only call that from the client. I believe it's only client code that, or...
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I was just like pretty confident that none of that was the same.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so, and I really wanted to get rid of the game symbol, though.
Well, what is
honestly?
The same
I just broke everything.
What is the same as the this dot message buffer push, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I want to keep this class around at least because a lot of things import it for now. But we'll take this.
Yep.
It's nice though. I don't think it implements game anymore. Wait, what? What is this doing?
Oh, I'm
How does?
surprised that's like a legal thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
I mean,
question it.
it's a TypeScript tautology. Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I go further, I was thinking it actually would be nice to put these in different files.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be, well, it might be annoying. We'll have to track down some imports, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
Annoying is different from hard.
yeah, these aren't systems.
No, I think top level is a fine location.
Top level, okay.
This is going to feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Nice.
except that it did it the dumb way.
But the linter auto fixes it.
Fixes this.
It did. It did. The ordering. Oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, right.
The nice thing is since I'm at the root, it doesn't matter. And also, it didn't get everything. That's weird.
Interesting. Yeah.
Huh. Not find namespace terrain.
That's because we didn't export the namespace. I didn't know about that trick, export namespace. So if you just, I think our terrain import, if you can just copy it from.
Okay.
Because it's basically explicitly named.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of course, it can't generate that for me.
It can, I think, because you know Lodash. We found out last time that Lodash it has like that export namespace declaration.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a hint that like there is a commonly accepted name for a module. Which
Right.
is a very strange concept, but like I don't want to question.
It's pretty cool though.
I think it's good. I think it's a useful thing.
I'm going to keep some exports in game because we have a couple common files here. And I think actually once we, I think it's going to be pretty cool in a second.
Yeah.
Because I want to move the code from main into game because that is now our game loop.
Yeah.
Entities. Is this not entities?
It's a no. It's that's a module as well. So.
Oh, great.
Line 9.
Totally unused. Should have seen that. Systems also a module. Thank goodness it's alphabetical. Yeah, we should do that namespace thing. That would actually be really cool for
it would help a lot
cleaning
with
this up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this, fix me. Okay, we'll be back for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do the client. Yeah, I actually really like seeing how the systems are shaking out here. Because the client is like more complex on some of the state and the server is more complex on some of the other state.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really neat. All missing imports. Let's sort that out. Wow. Not a single external lib.
GeoMatrix.
GeoMatrix, yeah. Fix yourself, game. What's going on?
I think it's just still saving. Having a hard time right now.
There we go.
Yeah, just to continue off the small point that I made earlier about like all this stuff being confusing, like the ordering of when those lint rules and autofixes get applied, it's all so like locally defined in like some weird corner of the config, you know, and like figuring out exactly what happens. It's like I don't know. It's software.
Did I restructure our entire thing? I think I might have. Yeah, this is the only way I've ever gotten anything to work is ESLint and then plugging Prettier into it because Prettier and ESLint together are just such a tiny nightmare.
Yeah. And I think the recommendeds for I mean, I think the way that you have it is the right way to do it. Like, have them both read the same config, right?
Yeah, when it's plugin pretty recommended turns off every ESLint rule that conflicts with prettier, which is nice because
Okay.
it's meant to exclude the other defaults.
Yeah.
I
It's bonkers to me
hate
that
it.
the recommendeds for both like don't agree. Hence the
That's
advantage
its own
of
problem.
doing Roam, right, or something like that, like to just unify the tool chain.
Hmm. That, I mean, I'm excited for Rome. Rome's going to be cool. Whew. All right. Well, the game sure got light.
Yeah. Well, if the game
Uh,
is empty, we may as well delete the game class because we're gonna have issues either way, right?
yeah, that's a good point. I was hoping to avoid every find replace, but you're correct that nothing will even track anymore, and nor should it. So,
Yeah.
um, maps. All right. Goodbye, game. Game's pretty easy. Do we use maps over here? We don't. Maps is on the server. Sweet. Oh man. Okay, this feels pretty good. And then what I wanted to do was to take these.
I don't know if I want to put those in the client file.
Oh, I was gonna put it in the game file.
Oh, the game file. Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say they're just like they're the process of the game, basically.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I found a problem. Let's see.
I think they're okay in this file for now.
Okay. Well, sorry. The problem I found is what is this object now? It's the client, isn't it?
We
This is
have to
actually,
instantiate both the client and server.
but what manages the canvas? It's the client.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great.
It's not just the client, but it's like a client,
It's
which
a
is
client,
interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is client one, and client two is going to get instantiated with like no canvas. Maybe we'll pass it like a fake one or something.
Yeah, client 2 we're never going to call render on. Right.
Correct. But we at least need to construct it. That's okay. That's gonna get a camera. That's a little weird. But yeah, I agree that this is declare.
I think it sort of suggests a different abstraction, maybe. Like,
Well,
there needs to be a difference between a client that is virtual versus like the actual client that is attached to the singleton hardware and singleton renderer of the local computer.
Right. Okay. Well, let's turn this into the client for now, and then we'll.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, I do agree.
I'm happy to full screen this right now because like it's never like that right window's not going to render for a while.
Nothing to look at. Yep. That means I can make it bigger.
Yeah. Although I am blocking the source code now, I might adjust this in OBS.
Yeah, that's its own problem. I want scenes. Yeah, I was thinking. I was checking out some other streamers. I really want to have a button we can push, and I think OBS gives us this, where we can be like taking a 5-minute break an hour through, and like put up the like check and out. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Screen a little countdown
sort of
clock.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail intermission screen.
Okay, wait, sorry. That reminded me of something else, which was Monty Python game. Is this gonna find it? Shit. Monty Python-esque game. I'm only gonna Google this one more time. Nope. Okay. There's a game I just saw coming out that like is entirely done with like cutouts of Renaissance art that looks like someone like took a Monty Python like interstitial and just went to town on it.
Was it Terry Gilliam that did all those animations?
Yeah, they're all Terry Gilliam.
Okay, yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
He was the good one. Turns out the rest of them are all like right-wing Brexit people.
I've got bad news.
Oh no.
Terry Gilliam's not the good one.
Oh, okay.
Isn't John Cleese the good one? Is he a right-wing Brexiter? Fuck.
Yeah.
Now
John
we
Cleese,
milkshake.
John Cleese is the classic say it ain't so. Monty Python.
We really milkshake ducked each other just now. Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You know,
Kill your heroes. It's fine.
I still listen to Michael Jackson, or I still would.
That I find a lot more controversial than like
than Monty Python.
Yeah, like I can
I'll
kind of deal
take it.
with like political differences, but I'm just like, oh, what if you were actually a monster? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's the classic like we disagree on politics thing. I'm just like, you know what? I can do that.
Yeah.
Monty Python didn't advocate murdering me just yet. I don't think.
Yeah.
Also, they didn't like capitalism. They're fine. They're probably not fine.
I can totally reevaluate my Michael Jackson fandom as well.
I'm not trying to judge you on that at all.
but-
You put it out there.
But John Cleese, I think he said something to the effect of like
Oh no.
having people from other countries like destroys British culture, or like it destroys the Britishness of London or something like that. It was
Wow, that's an extremely British thing to say.
yeah, so maybe he's just like I believe in the sanctity of like a British culture or something. I don't know. Like I'm this is all like hearsay, speaking through hearsay. So
Woof, indeed. Oh well.
but you know, like Morrissey, right? Like there's a lot of like our kind of like cultural icons who have
Yeah,
very
rip.
much, like yeah.
Man, you know who kills me? Who's the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins?
Oh, Billy Corgan, yeah.
Billy Corgan, just a total tool bag. Man.
You know, we kind of always knew that, though. That's the thing about Billy Corgan. I mean,
know.
the Pumpkins music doesn't really. It's dated sounding. Like you can listen to it and have fun with it. Like if you're like, I want to listen to some '90s music right now. You know what I mean? But you kind of knew even from like the first record that he was sort of a dweeb in the like pure negative sense of the word. You know, and
Yep.
And his whining in his lyrics oftentimes were like exactly that, like whining, like to like a caricature of the teenage kind of. And I don't know, like even before his politics started to come out, like you could already kind of tell he was weird. Like I think it was like probably mid-aughts. He published an ad in like the Chicago newspaper about like it was like "Thank you Chicago," and it had like this like half the page was his face, and it had like block of text.
Oh no.
And I think it was like a way of him announcing his next solo project, but like it was framed as a thank you to his fans. Like somehow I'm gonna reward my fans with the output of my genius. It's a very weird rhetorical position to establish, right? Here's how I'm rewarding my fans: is the opportunity to pay me money for this
Wild.
probably mediocre record. I love the second and third and sometimes first Smashing Pumpkins albums. Let's put that out there. Siamese Dream, Melancholy.
I really like. Yeah. Melancholy is the one.
Yeah.
Big fan, and yet it's okay. He sucks. Great. Well, while we're trashing musicians we love, I made more clients, and I'm going to make a simulated client loop.
Yeah. Leave the past behind, Dom. Kill it if you have to.
It's all about killing your heroes.
Yeah.
Like, you will so frequently be disappointed. And that's fine. Let's see. Simulated client frame.
I was thinking about this the other day with like David Foster Wallace. I'm not actually sure where the zeitgeist is on him right now. I mean, obviously it's like like fun to do the ironic like let's trash the person who reads Infinite Jest on public transit kind of thing. But in his
but you've read Infinite Jest, right?
I've read it like 1.5 times, which is like
I
think 80 percentage points more than the average person, maybe even more than that. I think most people make it to the first hour of that book, right?
I have not, but I had a close friend who was like kind of like, trash talking about Jess and was like, man, hipsters read this book and like, I don't know, they just think they're so cool. And then they read it and they were like, oh fuck, it's a really good book.
Yeah,
like it's profoundly prescient and like well written. And I was like, nah, okay, like I get it.
So on Wallace, there's a lot I could say about him because he was super formative to me. But like, I'm pretty sure if he had survived to this era, like he would have been canceled. Because like you read like, I don't know how harassy he actually got on the book tour, but like that was very much part of his MO at some point, and I think he was also like super self-aware of it at the same time. He like didn't want to be the creepy guy on the book tour, and yet he like enjoyed the notoriety and like didn't really know like that exact neurosis is the essence of his legacy in writing. I in my opinion. But anyways, like the thing is, he didn't survive into this era, and so I think I don't know how much reflection we've done him. I know that now people just like making fun of people who read David Foster Wallace. It's like a parody of it right now, but
yeah, which is too bad because his shit is like intensely good. Everything I've read of it, and I do want to do Infinite Jest someday, but like it's a long book, Jeff.
Yeah.
I had like a dip into like, oh, maybe cancel culture is real, but like we can't even get rid of J.K. Rowling. So like, does anyone actually get canceled?
Yeah, I didn't really mean that, and I just meant the phenomenon would have happened to him, right?
Like he would be on the receiving end.
Online outpouring would have been directed at him. I don't mean to say that to even validate the concept of cancel culture per se. Like,
oh yeah, no, I know.
I haven't like cancel culture. I find to be complicated in a way that like, you know how there are people that use the term social justice warrior and like it immediately like allows you to categorize them as like a particular group of person. I feel like cancel culture is a similar type thing, and yet at the same time, the kind of like online opprobrium. Like we were both in DSA for a while. Like I kind of know like the drama of Twitter and indeed it's why I quit a lot of I like unfollowed everybody on Twitter, right? Like not because I was tweeting, I just like couldn't take the noise that I wasn't even participating in. You know what I mean? And so
yeah, for me, I think it's sort of this like it's being extremely online and having that be a thing you want to do, and like at a certain point, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like it's sort of like opting out of a subculture in a way.
Yeah.
And man, it was like I'm glad I'm not extremely online right now. It's annoying.
So like I think the metaphor I'd make is that like if I don't necessarily like the way that the word cancel culture is deployed in 90% of the times that it is, but if those people are like the blind men feeling the ass end of the elephant, I am aware of the front of the elephant or something like that. You know, like I think that there is an elephant there. Like I think there is something there. Whereas I think like social justice warrior is like not a real. This is like not like there's no elephant there.
Yeah, I like that way of putting that.
I'm not sure if I do like awkward metaphor over slash metaphor.
It's an awkward thing to try to metaphorize though. Yeah. So I'm with you.
Okay. I see where you're going with this.
I just did it.
Yep,
yeah.
You just went for it. Cool.
I just went for it. It was kind of soothing coding music to hear a good cancel culture rant. So.
Oh, we created a fake canvas for the second client. I like it.
I did. Yeah. Yeah, I figured that would like kind of cover it, and it has a loop down here, with a simulated client simulation loop.
Nice.
I'm gonna go see what the game looks like. Looks like my background.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the JavaScript console is like freaking out right now. Yeah.
Well, we still have some g.server. Let's see, Pathfinder. I don't care about. Does very very little of this should actually be loading though.
Correct.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see what's loading. Lodash. I don't believe you. I don't believe any of this. All right, let's actually look at our terminal.
Source maps, another part of the whole TypeScript, JavaScript ecosystem that just kind of magically happens and is injected into the.
We don't seem to have them, do we? Level completion. There we go. I've noticed a thing in Parcel sometimes where like my source maps are actually incorrect.
Yeah, I think we've established by now that Parcel is a pretty unreliable narrator, right?
Did you notice that? Where is it? Jeff and Dom. Our sick website is written in Parcel 2.
Parcel 2.0. Did you say?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
I did indeed.
That. But I appreciate you being on the cutting edge, Dom.
I thought it'd be interesting. It's still beta, but I don't know. Why make a Parcel 1 project? That's the past, man. It's like Python 2.
Yeah. Does that mean we could like fold the Twitch thing when we're not online? Can it like ask Twitch, are they streaming? And if not, then fold it?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure, but there are some like Twitch has like some APIs or something. I just grabbed the first embed. I mean, yeah. I grabbed just a whole bunch of shitty embeds, but like
no, this is great.
Our videos are in a playlist. Yeah.
I also like the poetic, like if you go to the very bottom, I don't think people can see this right now because my face is in the way, but it's like find us on itch.io, and then the last one is just find us, and it's just like this like poetic scream into the darkness, you know, like please find me.
I liked it better in the earlier iteration. And in fact, I can't go backwards in deploys, but before I had all the embeds in there, it was like, find us on Twitter, find us on itch, find us on Twitch. And it was like, just please somebody find us.
Yes. So I appreciated that. I'm glad that you had that in there.
Good. Yeah. It seemed like a thing you would enjoy. Level completion.
That's the system. I guess it is.
It is. And it's interesting because what is level completion?
I think it is an interface. This is the closest we've come to needing an interface that is common between the server and the client. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's common.
I solved the problem.
Yeah. That is absolutely the right move right there.
And great. This client.server messages thing that doesn't exist is correct. Because what we're going to do is loop over our clients.
Oh, I love it. I like it.
Oh, shit. Okay.
All right. It doesn't know who to focus on.
It doesn't know. Well,
the camera is kind of in a messed up state right now, right?
And this really shouldn't be the case because in main, only one of our clients gets the real canvas.
Okay.
So like this simulate client should just be rendering off somewhere. Let me turn this off for a second. Let's deal with one client at a time.
Okay.
And bring it back to. Yeah. Okay. That is same problem. Still problem.
Same problem. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Because the viewport and everything only gets set for one of them, and we don't run the second renderer. So.
Okay, got it.
But I'm a little lost.
We did a lot, right? Like we need to kind of like, settle down and sort of like figure out what we've done. What have we done?
Such magenta, yeah. Okay, let's see. We've got our. I see a problem. That this was rating to the wrong client frame, so that's something at least. And that should be let. Great. This is complaining. I'm just gonna comment this all out, but that was at least wrong.
Yeah. And we are rendering in the client. The client render loop is running right now. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. We should be in the same spot. I noticed that we might not ever call start play. Oh, no, we do.
It
If our
does need to
it
get called on the client side.
does it? Did it? Did this work by virtue of us? It shouldn't, because the client should receive the current state is game.running, the previous state was null. So it gets called once, but the client receives its entity state from the server still. I think
You're right.
we'd sorted that out last time to
Um,
only be in one place.
does the client ever read game state at all? I think
At this point, I
it
think
shouldn't, right?
maybe not. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
So wait,
we do need to call start play.
we do. I don't think we need. Do we need map? Why do we need map?
Well,
For
that's how
the
we
terrain.
render for the terrain.
That's correct. Okay, great. Okay, yeah, this was a piece of shared state, so that's okay. So we're just gonna do the same thing. Start play all the way down. Okay.
That's
Better.
progress.
Notably, yeah. My keyboards aren't keyboarding, but that's okay.
Okay.
I think it's probably because I don't send any server messages. Or I don't send any client messages.
Oh, interesting.
No, honestly,
That should work.
shouldn't this work? Yeah.
Server exclamation point is probably what it's complaining about right now.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah, should be.
let's just see what's even getting in here, because it sure looks like nothing. Yeah.
Let's go to the update for the, and then
So
what game state are we in?
I suspect. Oh, that's a good point.
So
What
start
game state?
play is not like we need to set this. We need to do set state. Like if you go to the game dot, oh sorry, the server's update function, we need to copy 93 to 108.
Yep. Agreed.
And then paste it into the top of the update. And then the server, rather than calling start play, should set the state.
But we do need it to call start play. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Totally. I gotcha. Yep.
And eventually, line 84 becomes a message that the server can send to the client, right? That is a non-input thing. This is part of like the game flow management protocol that is not input that the server needs to like. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a leak. Great.
Amazing. That is fantastic.
Hang on. Let's go for double. What is this even gonna do? Twice as fast. Great. Yeah. Okay. As expected.
Was that expected?
We're running the player input. We're running the tank mover twice for the same message.
Oh yeah, of course. Right.
Yeah.
Because the input is not abstracted away.
And nothing knows how to handle players.
Yeah.
This is interesting, which is that the game is progressively slowing down.
Ooh. Are we running out of memory?
I wonder that. It's getting slower.
Oh, you know what?
Slower.
You know what it is that we're not calling message buffers or something like that, right? And so we're having to like iterate over a bunch. That's what it is.
All right, you're right. Yeah. Where's my? Oh, painful. Where's memory in here? Is it timeline? Can I get a profiler? What? No.
Interesting.
Oh, sorry. It's because I'm using Safari. That's what I get for. Ooh, what did I just open? Game Capture HD. We don't want that. Nobody wants that on Mac. Oh yeah, I hear my fan going too. This is great.
Yep.
There's my memory tab.
It occurred to me that like I really wanted Grafana in this game.
Grafana?
Or graphite, like some kind of like metrics database that I could like open up.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. That might be actually a fun distraction project when I'm tired of dealing with the game. Like hook up, I don't know, like have a Docker image that has like InfluxDB and Grafana running on it or something, and like spray metrics from the browser.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I was trying to. I mean, our numbers go up. Our numbers only go up.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not super sure how to read this, but I guess maybe part of the processing is that the message buffer, even if we're only adding megabytes of memory, every frame is actually doing a filter on that, huh?
Yeah, I think we can basically see which of those buffers we're not cleaning out. Because we're having to iterate over them and filter them, right?
Yeah. Can I get into, is there, oh, I see the server. Is there a client object I can, yeah, two clients. Oh, sick. Yeah, should only be a couple things in here, right? Wait a minute. Is it the thing with 19,000 elements in the array? Oh, that's just an ID. Interesting.
What about on the server? That accumulating client messages and not deleting?
Good question. No.
Empty?
It's got 1,000 items in it, but that's not. Oh wait, are these 1,000 arrays of? No. These seem fine. It's a bunch, but it's not like.
Yeah.
Not as much as I expected. But yeah, something in here is somewhat unhappy. Interesting. I wonder if this happened if I was not running the simulated client loop.
It should still slow down over time.
You think so? It should take twice as long to slow down.
Or the square of that. I don't know exactly.
Right. Yeah, I guess I was wondering if there's some shared state between the two that is not working.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, there is. Let's fix the one thing that I think we should clearly fix, which is this keyboard and mouse handler.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe this is the thing that kind of becomes something that should not have been a singleton.
Yeah, maybe we have to declare an interface that. Yeah, it's basically these like event listeners that can't. Boy, this is tricky.
Well, let's see. So I think maybe let's give the client a nullable keyboard and mouse.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. And if you got it, it'll do it.
Yeah, and let's sort of see how far down that goes here.
Keyboard question mark update will do it, right? In mouse question.
Yeah, that stops the chain, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Cool. Great. And then in main, we'll actually, let's see, we sort of, yeah, we'll just set up local input, which is client.keyboard equals new keyboard, and client.mouse equals new mouse.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel very good about that. And these are actually clients. Oh, and what does mouse take? The canvas? Mouse takes the canvas, huh?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
We're here. We're in the file with the canvas.
Nice.
That seems perfect. Okay.
Is that the only reason my client takes the canvas, or do we also do stuff with the cameras?
I mean, client renders, so. Let's see. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say, if not client.keyboard, I'm just going to download this file with question marks. Still feels pretty fast. Not going to lie.
Is it actually reloading, or?
It is reloading, and actually I can. Oops.
Wait. Yeah. That was weird.
Sorry. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
So the tank mover is going twice because it's running in each client. What's not happening is it's no longer slowing down. Ah, fuck. Damn.
What?
It just took a little longer to slow down.
Oh, okay. What is the size of the server? Like, when we push onto the server message queue, what clears it out?
Okay. Good question.
Sync server to state.
Yeah. Let's go to the sync server state.
Oh, line 36. That should be garbage collecting, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we having an issue with over here, though? Oh, I mean, this is not where that is. Man, has it been running? What code is running?
I don't think that import matters in JavaScript because you're not
it's
calling
just
it. It's just a type. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, there's the slow. So we do this. We process all the server messages. We clear them out. Now, what about our server snapshot is a single. And our entities. We start off with a fresh map of entities.
The one thing I know we could do is clear out the client messages in the server as well. We're just not doing it. I don't think it explains the behavior that we're seeing, but we are doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I thought we were trying. We didn't let anything grow too far, which is really.
How is 158 correct?
Wait a minute, this happened to us before. We filter messages where the message frame is greater than our current frame.
It should be the. Oh yes, we keep them. That filter means this is what we keep, right?
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
That is correct.
That is correct. And this is correct. Nothing should be in there.
Yeah.
Okay, we must have something. Must be a cycle in here somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
There's no particle emitters running, right?
No, but the client does initialize the system.
That's fine,
nope.
But they're
actually we just clear them out. So these nothing exists.
And we're definitely not rendering twice, right?
I don't think we are. Yeah, really
and it basically doesn't slow down if we comment out line 85, right? We don't get a slowdown.
Well, sorry, the game moves at the right speed now because we're only running one tank mover. Does it not slow down? I think it's actually still. It's annoying because it takes twice as long sometimes to get there.
But it is slowing down.
Mm,
It doesn't seem like
survey
it.
says no. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
What an
so.
interesting issue here.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, well, let's look at our client loop. Client update and go through all that. We each sync our individual server state.
yeah, doesn't it feel like they're pointing at the same shared object in some way, right?
Somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, we do our player input, and this is like, I mean, this is fine. It really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like only one of you has a keyboard, right? Nothing has rendered undefined. That seems wrong.
That does seem wrong. Where does
Huh.
simulated client get instantiated?
Right there.
Yeah.
Huh. Something somewhere is still connected. This dot keyboard.
Where did you put the console log again?
I put it in
Okay, yeah.
if the game is running right before
Could
we do
you
our player
this
input.
dot keyboard or something crazy like yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, this seems wrong.
This definitely seems.
But why? It's not in the
Can we
construct.
look at main.tsx again just one more time?
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. I'm confused.
Yeah, and if we scroll down a bit.
Sorry, wait. I just realized that we set game running on all of these, but server start play does this now too,
Yeah,
right?
the server should be triggering that, right?
Okay, so I don't think either of those needs to exist.
Yeah.
So in fact, server does synchronize that. To done. And really, we could call that at any point, but there's mine.
Yep.
Actually, wait. I disagree. I would like it there.
Yep, I agree. And then the client simulation loop.
Oh, the
Oh,
simulated client loop called the client simulation loop and set a timeout on itself.
yeah.
Or rather, the client was running at double speed. How interesting.
Is that double speed right now, or is that normal?
This is correct speed.
Okay. And we are getting the undefined now. Weird. Didn't we change that to a string? Or did you undo that?
I undid it
Okay,
because
cool.
it didn't do anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so running the simulated client simulation loop should run the simulated client. Go figure.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
So is it
Okay.
relatively sane now?
It does feel that way, yeah. I feel like there is some slowdown. I feel like there's an occasional jitter, and it
I
might
think I
be
see that. Yeah.
yeah. And I wonder if it's actually like if we're running too much. We just keep tossing simulations onto JavaScript and like letting it fly. So I wonder if like the fourth 60 frame per second simulation is too much. I wish I could go to the next level. I wonder if I can change that.
Oh yeah, you can change. Just
Game progression, yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm honestly really curious if the scale of entities is going to impact us here.
Yeah.
Whoops. Jeff, oh no.
That
We've made a problem. Okay. It's consistently slow.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would actually expect this to degrade significantly quicker if we had a issue.
Yeah. So
If that
what?
tracks.
So I bet what would speed it up is if you went to main.tsx
Hmm.
and you set client frame and simulated client frame to like 5. I bet that would. Uh, and if oh, that's still slow.
Why would 5 speed it up? That's just our delay behind server.
It is, but we'd be replaying fewer frames.
Ah,
But that's still super slow, right?
let's go all the way to 1. It's still super slow.
And is it slow if you get rid of the second client?
Better.
Was this always going to be slow? We never actually tested the big map.
We never went to the big map. And if I change our simulation period to 30 frames per second, we're starting to get into the right territory now.
Yeah.
So we have taxed the CPU, and that's okay. I'm going to commit it like this because I think we can optimize this next time.
Yeah, we're due for the optimization, right? Clearly, sending every entity and copy, like even the deep clone of the entity twice, can't be great.
Yeah, and I think it just eliminates what we already knew, which is that that's a lot of data to send across the wire, and it's a ton of memory management. So it seems fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're running this on the equivalent of I don't know, the space shuttle computer, which is not good.
And really, sending all the entity data over the wire is expensive. It's not even being sent over the wire. It's just that we're copying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it really just shouldn't change at all. Right?
Yeah. So maybe next week is switching to player input based. Well, either sending inputs back and forth or thinking about
compression of some kind, or
yeah. Come up with a nice format, like doing our deltas, because we have a path for delta as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I think we start with input and then see where that sucks, and then I think that the delta thing I just think it's going to be a pain in the ass. Like we have to do like a.
I agree.
Sort of
it
parallel
sounds like
trace reversal, yeah. Okay. Well, that was still pretty sweet. I think we pulled a lot of wires out today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as usual, but I don't want to see what this outputs. It's gonna be bad. Yeah. Yarn type check's just really? That's it?
That's a weird one. That's like a parse error, right?
Yeah, I think I broke it. More importantly,
yeah.
How has JavaScript been running this whole time? That should break everything.
That's a good question.
I very seriously have that question. Wait, no. Am I handle input? Oh yeah, okay. I guess that's right. I'm just gonna run the game again because I'm not sure what I was running.
Okay. I think it's gonna be exactly the same as before. I think something weird happened.
I think so too. I think probably Parcel just sort of gives up when it's like, well, you put a character at the end of the file, but we don't really care.
No, it's disturbing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's this. We're gonna ignore it.
Okay.
57 type errors is correct because there is no more import name.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, our build is going to be red for a minute, but that's okay.
I think it's already red, so.
Great.
Yeah. 34! 2 times 17.
Simulation. 2 times 17? Yeah, 17. It's like 17 weeks and we've had a couple days off, so probably like 18 or 19 weeks.
Congratulations, Tom. Let's celebrate the awkward 34th anniversary of the stream.
Deal.
Yeah. What are you getting for dinner tonight?
Maybe the rest of this banh mi that I have eaten.
Nice.
That might be it. Yeah. How about you?
I don't know. I got all
Oh,
this stuff. I've been into the thing I've been really into lately is making hummus. Have you ever made your own hummus?
I've never made my own hummus.
Uh,
Would you recommend it?
you know how they say that hummus is like tahini, chickpeas, and lemon juice?
Yeah.
That's literally what it is, and you like stick it in a blender. It's
Mm,
pretty freaking awesome to have your own hummus because it's like you go to Oren's or something like that, and you're like, oh my god, this hummus is just so much better than what you can get in the supermarket, right? And
that's because
then
it's fresh.
yeah, but it's also just like, um, I think it's made of different or the tahini. I don't know what if it's the freshness or what, but
Mm,
like you can have your homemade hummus in your fridge for like a week and a half, and it still tastes amazing at the end of it.
nice.
I'll send
Huh.
you the recipe I prefer. It's just the New York Times 5 minute hummus recipe.
Yeah. Let me know. I'm big on making my own mochi. Mochi's a fun one.
Oh, I've never done that actually.
Much like hummus, the ingredients in mochi are rice flour, water, and sugar, and you can make it in your microwave.
And do you do it savory or sweet?
I do it sweet because I put sugar in,
Okay.
and then you have to cut it up and like buy some red bean paste from Berkeley Bowl, and like you can make little balls out of it, or you just
Nice.
have sweet gooey chunks of
Oh
something that you
man,
could like fry.
yeah, I love
You love
like
mochi?
I love the mochi, like homemade mochi with like you get the rice flour all over the place when you eat it. It's
Oh
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, would could I make you mochi? Would you eat food someone else brought for you? Is that like
Uh,
quarantine safe?
I would.
Okay, I'll bring you some mochi. I love making mochi. I make my own red bean paste now too because
um,
it's super easy.
yeah, or at least I'll take your recipe.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's stop the stream and let people get on with their.
All right. Goodbye, Twitch.
Yeah, take it easy, everybody.